Hi. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Infect, and then we're going to go ahead and play a League in Modern with it. Infect is a deck I've been playing for a long time, 15 years to be exactly, and it's a deck I've innovated on a lot. I recently 5-0'd a League with a version similar to this. Now, if you're familiar with Infect, then you know that the typical Infect strategy is to get something like Glistener Elf out here on turn one, and maybe get Scale Up or Might of Old Crosa on turn two, and then pound in for lethal. This deck is a little bit slower of an approach. You'll notice there's only one Glistener Elf, and rather than Noble Hierarch, we have Green Sun Zenith. So Green Sun Zenith for Arbor will allow us to fetch, to allow us to ramp on turn one, but we don't get the Exalted. But the advantage of Green Sun Zenith is that we also can fetch Tifa, Elf, or Rot Priest to kind of give us a utility tool package, which is pretty key to like building a flexible game plan. Then you're going to notice that instead of like having a lot of pump spells, we have more utility cards like Force of Negation and March of Swirling Mist and Spell Pierce. And these cards are going to allow us to play a bit more of an interactive game, which is kind of what we want to do because decks in Modern nowadays have a lot of interaction and a lot of ways to stop that turn one Listener Elf. So your game plan with this deck every game is going to be a little bit different depending on what you're facing and what your opponents have. So that said, let's go ahead and take a deeper look at these choices because they really do require some explaining. I kind of explained Green Sun Zenith already. So, like at the heart of this deck, it is a toolbox deck. You are trying to craft the right game plan to win the game, usually with poison counters. But in the case of Tifa, you can win with regular damage as well. So Tifa's landfall, you easily can pump her with something like Scale Up, and then when you drop like a fetch land, her power becomes like 24, and she has trample. So you can win the game with Tifa with regular damage. And more often than not, you're going to be coming across for poison counters, and this is Infect. Um, but unlike traditional Infect, the Rot Priest strategy is really a key part of the deck. And that's really where this flexibility comes in with the toolbox and Green Sun Zenith. So in a lot of games, you're actually not going to win by bringing across Glistener Elf or Blighted Agent. You're going to win by searching up Rot Priests and then copying them with a card like Mockingbird. And then you're going to like cast cards like March of Swirling Mist. So if you remember from Standard back when Phyrexia All Will Be One was legal, this March of Swirling Mist Venerated Rot Priest was in Standard. So this is also good in Modern. Make no mistake about it. And you can win games pretty easily with this toolbox. So I actually would go out on a limb here, and again, having the experience I have, and saying that Venerated Rot Priest is the best card in the deck. It is hands down not even a question. First of all, the two toughness on Venerated Rot Priest enables it to dodge hate that typically is good against Infect, like Lava Dart and Dark Blast. Also, every time it's targeted by a spell, your opponent's control to get a poison counter. And you can win a lot of games by defending the Rot Priest against an endless stream of fatal pushes. And I have done this, and in fact, it's, as we may see when we play a league, a frog player who decides that they want to try to really remove the Rot Priest ends up, taking a lot of poison in return. Um, so Rot Priest is pretty key. But then you've got some other choices like Force of Negation. Force of Negation is going to enable you to do things that traditional Infect has a little bit more of a problem with. So maybe you have that turn one Glistener Elf draw that typically your opponent will just remove that right away because they don't want you to defend it. Force of Negation can allow you to save the Glistener Elf and then come through for lethal next turn. Force of Negation is also good against cards like Chalice of the Void or Trinisphere or combo cards like Storm or like Birthing Ritual. Cards like that can really take over a game. Force can help get through. And you'll notice there's about 20 blue cards in this deck, which is really like the minimum amount of cards you really should have for Force. And I find that most of the time I need to cast Force, I have the blue card to pitch to it. But every once in a while, you'll run into a situation where that you do not have the blue card. So um, I have looked and looked and looked at ways to get more blue spells into this deck, but I don't really think you could do so without really compromising the strategy. So that said, other things that are going on here, you've got an interesting mana base. You only have two Ink Moth Nexuses, which is very different than just about every other Infect deck out there. And some people will just say this is straight up wrong, but I will tell you it's straight up correct, because the worst thing you can deal with in playing Infect is drawing a double Ink Moth hand, because you really need your colored mana sources in this deck. You've got cards like Vines of the Vastwood that if you want to kick, you need double green. So having a card like Inkmoth can really sour your mana. But you also have two copies of Sylvan Scrying, and this card enables you to find Inkmoth. So basically, you find Inkmoth and you drop it, and then you can win the game fairly easily with this. But Scrying also enables you to find, say, a fetch land for Tifa, or something like Pendlehaven. So you can actually be a pump as well. And then you'll notice over in the sideboard, we have a copy of Beseju who endures. That card can help destroy artifacts as well. So it kind of gives you, I think, a base overview of what's going on here. The rest of it is fairly standard. You get your Scale Ups, your Might of Old Croesus, your Vines of Vastwood, and you only have three of each of these because, again, one of the problems that traditional Infect really has is that you draw too many pump spells, and those extra pump draws are pretty useless. So you really want to maximize your draw steps, and this deck really does that well, or better than traditional Infect does. One other card I want to highlight here is Secret Identity. This is a new card from the Spider-Man set. It basically is a pump and also a protection spell. Can give a creature hexproof. Can also make it a 3/4 with flying and vigilance. This is just, you really need those like plurality of blue spells. So this isn't here to like make that plurality and give us enough protection against cards like Solitude. So that said, let's look at the sideboard. You'll notice Consigned to Memory, a pretty standard card to be played in Modern. I'm not really going to go into that one. You know why that's there. Hurkyl's Recall. So it's really between Force of Vigor and Hurkyl's Recall. And Force of Vigor, you just don't really have the green spells that traditional Infect has, and you really do not want to dilute your blue spells. So you have Hurkyl's Recall. This is actually a really great card. At the end of your turn, like your Tron or Affinity matchup, you can cast this and bounce all their artifacts. And like this will take Kappa Cannoneer off the table. So like, you know, that's not a bad thing. I can't tell you how many games I've lost to Kappa Cannoneer. So you have Dismember. This card is really most important against Voice of Victory. As you might see, if we play against Boros Energy, Voice of Victory is a very, very annoying card against this deck because it shuts down all your interaction. You really have no way main deck to deal with it. So Dismember is important for that. It's important for creature matchups if you face like Yogg or something. And then over here you have Veil of Summer. This is for Frog or other control decks where you're just getting countered all the time. The Gaia's Blessing is for Mill. Mill traditionally has been a pretty bad deck for Infect to face. It can also like sub as just Graveyard Hate in general, but having a one-of Silver Bullet for Mill makes a lot of sense to me. Just because you may face it, and if you do, it's not very good. Vexing Bauble, pretty standard. This is going to come in against Solitude. If you're boarding in Bauble, you're boarding out Force of Negation, and you do board out Force of Negation in a number of matchups, especially your creature matchups, and many of those you will board in Vexing Bauble. And last but not least, there's a Boseiju. Again, this is for like artifact or enchantments. You can sub in for one of your lands. And you also have a forest. And the main deck forest is for land destruction decks or decks with Blood Moon. Like a red-white land destruction variant. It's pretty popular online right now. And having that extra forest can really make or break the game. So that said, I think we're all done with the deck tech, and we'll move on to games. Okay. So we won the die roll here. We're going to go ahead and go first. This looks like a pretty good hand. We've got a Rat Priest and Inkmoth and a couple of preordains to help find stuff. So we're going to go ahead and keep it on the play. We kept 7 cards. Let's go ahead and run this Rat Priest out there. Don't be shy with running it out there unless, it's your only threat. Go over the barrel with Eldrazi. Okay. Generally a pretty good matchup. Sometimes you don't get there, but Ancient Stirrings, we'll see what that finds. Against Labyrinth. Okay, pretty standard Eldrazi stuff. Here I'm going to go ahead and play the Breeding Pool so that we can cast Preordain and leave up Vines. You can see right away what we're going to be kind of going for here this game. So we're going to put those both on top. We're going to draw Rot Priest. I'm going to attack. I kind of have a decision here if I want to drop this Rat Priest or try to protect the other one. Opponent could have Kozilek's Command, so we're going to go ahead and just... I also want to kind of save this Preordain for March, to pitch to March. These are the kind of decisions you have to make in this deck. It's really complicated. It's not straightforward whatsoever, because you realize I could go for the Inkmoth Nexus line here, trying to do that, but with double Rot Priests and double Pump Spells and March, I should be able to get there with just that. So we can slab Blade. Okay, so the thing about Blade is that Vines of the Vastwood stops their combo, and that's because Vines of the Vastwood says target creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Also, March will also stop their combo. So actually, this is a really good matchup for this deck. I have a pretty high win rate against Blade because I have a lot of ways to interact with it. There's this Saga. I wonder if he will come out with the Brood Scale. Malevolent Rumble. That's fine. So opponent is in pretty deep trouble here. Haywire Might, that's not really going to do anything against me. I don't think my opponent can remove my Rat Priest, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. This will get a couple of poison counters on the board. Yeah. Pretty sure I'd just win. I'm going to attack. So, I can just Might of Old Krosa. And I'm just going to win with March of Swirling Mist. So you can see right in game 1 how good this is. And you notice I didn't cast this Preordain because I left it up for March. This is the kind of setup you need to do when you play this deck. This is GG's. Yeah. Okay. So in this matchup we have Consign. You could board and Recall, but probably not a good idea. You have Dismember for the Brute Scale. Force of Negation, usually board out Force of Negation against any Urza's Saga deck, because they can get the Blade off of Urza's Saga. That's usually how they do it. So, Force of Negation, not so great. Pendlehaven comes out. Usually board out Pendlehaven. You kind of don't want to board out blue sources when you board in Beseju, because you really need your blue sources, and if you don't have enough of them, you'll be in trouble. Spell Pierce usually comes out because, again, it's a creature combo deck, and Spell Pierce oftentimes doesn't get there against their ramp. So I'm happy with this. Okay. It's going to be on the play. This hand, so we have Sylvan Scrying, which can find Inkmoth, but we don't really have a lot else going on, so we're just going to mulligan. This is a little better. Yeah, and we have Scrying. I think in this hand, I just want to toss the March. I don't think I'm going for March Rock Priest this game because I have Blighted Agent. One comes out with Devourer. So, let's see what they reveal off of that. And Walking Ballista. So, Walking Ballista is something to watch out for game 2 and 3 against them. Usually, I find it is too slow. It looks like we drew the Dismember. So if they come out with Walking Ballista, we'll be able to dismember it. And the hedge maze. I think I need lands here because I have double vines in hand. Definitely don't want that. Like I could just go for Blighted Agent here. Now Rot Priest. Rot Priest is a good draw. I think I'll take Rot Priest here actually. That lets me hold up vines and also dismember. Again, you can kind of see again how you're really stepping back. You're not being aggressive. And just running Blighted Agent out here is be so bad to run it into removal. So he's got the K command. We're just going to go ahead and save. And I'm going to go ahead and get the breeding pool. I'm not too worried about my life total, and you will often need the double blue, so you do want to go ahead and fetch. It's going to take a couple poison. K command will also give them a draw. Looks like they scry and draw. So, and tap. Taking their time. Pretty sure, like, even if they have Blade here, I'm not dead. So, if they have Blade and Brute Scale, I'm still not dead. So, Saga. Flesh Raker. Blade. Okay. So, that's a bit of a tricky spot. Like, having Duran scale up, I really just want to rush the Blighted Agent. But I'm going to be in a pretty bad position if he has the combo. Like, if he has Brute Scale in hand, I'm just dead. Um, but if I wait too many more turns, I'm in trouble. So what I think I want to do here, like again, I have Vine, so I'm really going to be hurting for double green. And I'm also, my life total is under pretty significant pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and Sylvan's Grind for a Forest. And I'm going to play that. Now lets me hold up Dismember. And the next turn, I can play Blighted Agent with Protection. Yeah, so he has the Brute Scale. He's going to equip. We're going to Dismember. Roll F6. So, yeah. Another Flesh Raker? Okay, so we're under some pretty intense pressure here. Attacks. So I don't have to block. I don't think I will. But I'm pretty sure I'm dead just because of what I'm facing here. So I'm going to go ahead and play Agent. I do have. I can win if my opponent is completely bricks, basically. But they can. I think they can retrieve their Devourer of Destiny. Let's see if they do that. If they retrieve their Devourer of Destiny, they get 2 Flesh Raker triggers. Plus, they get to ping my Blighted Agent. They get Vexing Bauble, which is not going to do anything for them. Cavern of Souls. Again, they can cast Devourer. Doesn't look like they're going to do that. Oh, Emrakul. Okay, well, I'm very dead. Not much I can do about Emrakul, so we'll go to game 3. That was 1 turn away. I can't feel too bad about games where I'm 1 turn away. Be on the play. This looks good to me. The thing about the turn 1 Rot Priest in this hand is that they could have Dismember, but I think I'm fine if they do. I'm gonna get the pool, play Rot Priest. Blade. Okay. The fact that they're just running Blade out seems to be the aggressive. Like, I have double Rot Priests. I think I want to keep that. Now, what could happen here is that I get K commanded, which would be unfortunate, but I don't really have a way to protect it otherwise, so I'm just going to run it out. Okay. Opponent's like, I just want to kill you. We're just not going to let that happen. Again, Dismembering here makes sense because we want to attack with these Rot Priests. And we're just going to hold back Vines because second Brood Scale. Okay. Did we let that happen? So next turn, if I scale up, if I play the land this turn, I don't think they can't adapt it. But next turn they can. So if I play scale up, I get 2 triggers, and then I attack. They go to 7 if they don't block, and then I can get 2 more triggers with Vines. But if I cast Vines, they can't equip, but it doesn't really matter because they can equip next turn. I think... Okay. And this is kind of why Inkmoth is bad, because now I can't kick Vines. Now I can attack. And if he blocks, I can kick Vines. But I have a feeling he's not going to block. But I think the correct play is to just attack and see if he blocks. He does not block. Okay. So... I think I have to preordain. And if I'm a Dismember... which is good. That's going to save my life. Dismember putting in some serious work here. So Ancient Stirrings. I have Vines to protect my priests, and then next turn I can just kill him. So. Okay. He actually found a 3rd Brood Scale. He's actually going to do this for the 3rd time. No, holds back. Okay. Opponent, he may have K Command here. He didn't play the Brood Scale. Oh, he does it. Okay, command. So, yeah, we're just going to save that. This is going to end the game. Yeah. Game's over. All right, so that's how we do it. Okay, so we lost the die roll here, and we're going to get started. On the draw, I think I'm okay with this hand. I'd like to say a pump spell, but hopefully we'll draw one. I'm going to keep Scalding Tarn. Just going to go ahead and drop a Verdant. I could Green Suns for Arbor here, but I don't think it's right. Because the density of threats in my hand is pretty bad. And, being able to Green Suns for something like Rot Priest is probably better. Like, again, going back to kind of like the utility argument. Like, if this were Noble Hierarch, we would 100% play Noble Hierarch. And our play would be Noble Hierarch into Blighted Agent. Is this Slick Shot? Okay, so this is Prowess. Prowess can be a hard matchup. I think we want to keep that. The problem we're going to kind of face here is really time. We have Vines. I don't think we can afford to just sit here this turn. Because if we do, we're just going to get our face kicked in. So I think we have to go ahead for the Green Suns. Now, I'm going to Green Suns for Rot Priest. And Rot Priest is not Lava Dartable. Well, they can Lava Dart it, but good luck. So they probably will bolt it, and I'm happy with that. Next turn, I can go for the Blighted Agent. If I lose this game, it's just going to be because of these Slick Shots. Now, I can March to sort of like survive, and I may have to do that here. So Preordain. If my opponent starts casting like Mutagenic Growth, I'm in really deep caca here. Hopefully they don't do that. Now, it looks like I'm just getting hit for 6, so... okay. So... I'm going to go to 8 when I crack the fetch. I have March. So this is a little tricky. What I could do here is, like, attack with the Rot Priest, hold up March, and cast March without pitching anything. Or I can cast Blighted Agent. So, chances are, I think it's better to cast Agent here just because I'm racing time. So, I'm going to attack for 1. And now I can March for up to 4, which can save my Agent and Boat March, both Slick Shots. So if he comes out with the preemptive Bolt, which they often do, that is exactly what I'm going to do here. And that March is going to give me 2 poison counters as well if I end up hitting the Rot Priest, which there really is no reason why I shouldn't. Now a 3rd Slick Shot. So yeah, that's going to change the calculus for me a little bit here. Plays land. They're coming in. Now, I have no reason to fire off this March unless I have to. So here we go. And then Mutagenic Growth. Okay, so I'm going to go at 8. And I'm just going to March. Now, let's see. Let's figure this out here. Because again, you can really just throw away games if you don't really think about what you're doing. So if I March 1, you will get 1 poison counter. And I next turn can crash through for 5, 6, 7 in theory, right? Because this is going to trigger Rot Priest. This is going to be a 5/5, and then this is going to come through. So it behooves me to let one of these slick shots through. So, which is what I think I will do. So if I do it like this, so this slick shot's being targeted, then I'm going to get hit for 3. But next turn I can win the game. Because otherwise I can't win the game. I'm only going to come through for, now wait a minute. I think I did that wrong. So you double check your math here. So if I do vines, that's going to be 1 and then 5 and then 6 and then 7. Yeah, so I had it right. Okay, so let's do this. Doesn't hurt to double check your math. Okay, so now without March here, I'd be very dead. I'm very, very dead. So, and and I could still easily die here, right? Like, if my opponent has the lava dart, like, I'm pretty dead here. But I think I'm just dead anyways if my opponent has the dart, because they can just dart my face and then buy back the dart, and I'm gonna take bukus of damage. I'm just gonna die. Like, if my opponent has a bolt or a dart here, I'm just dead anyways, right? So again, we only play to our outs. So opponent goes to 3 poison. Mutagenic growth fizzles. Slick shot hits me for hopefully just 3. Doesn't have delirium, so he can't like violent urge me here. Or he can, but I don't think that's lethal. So okay, so I take 3, so I'm not dead. So yeah, we just kind of just go for it here, because there is no reason not to. So you can see how I said this is a very hard deck to play. Like, if you aren't really careful, you will lose games. I lose a lot of games because I am not careful. For the stream, I'm trying to be careful. So I win. What I have found is that, shockingly, Vexing Bauble is a good card in this matchup. Now, because it does stop the flashback of their dart, it does stop their mutagenic growth, and it also stops their bauble. So I usually board it in. But this is one of those times where, like, keeping Force of Negation and Vexing Bauble in the deck at the same time kind of makes sense. And one of those times where having a card like Secret Identity is good. So I hate to dilute my blue spells. But Spell Pierce can be rough. I have tried a different side. I think I'm going to go ahead and try scrying this time. Because again, like, the thing about Sylvan Scrying, especially on the draw, is that it's a little slow. I don't think I want anything else here, so I'm going to go ahead and submit. Opponents pondering their fate. Okay, here we go. Game 2. This hand. I think this hand's fine. I mean, it has a win con. We have Preordain. We have a protection spell. This is, again, one of those times where, do I really want to cast the Preordain or not? I don't really have to. The opponent has Darcy. Okay. I don't really have to cast this Preordain, because I kind of have most of what I need to win. But let's see what I draw here. Scale up. All right, well. I mean, it's a tough choice. Like, you could easily defend fetching for Preordain or Waterloo Grove for Preordain. Like, almost certainly the opponent has removal. and I'm also like immediately under threat here. But I think the right move is to play the Misty and pass. Um, I'm happy to scry into a land or a threat. If I, kind of how I'm thinking as this game goes is that, I'm going to drop Tifa, and if it doesn't get removed, I can win. If it does get removed, which it probably will based upon my opponent's posturing, I'm going to end up having to set up for something else. So, uh, opponent's second turn, they don't have a play. They don't have something like Corey Steelcutter or a Slick Shot. So, like, I have to think they're sitting on a fistful of lightning bolts, and that is probably almost certainly going to be the case. So, because I'm not under that much threat, I think what might be correct here is to actually not play Tifa, and then save protection for her. So, what I might do is actually now cast this Preordain, and like Force and Ball are both great cards. Obviously, I don't want them together, and because I'm already have March, my hand is a little bit of under pressure, and I can just cast this bauble, so I'm going to do that. Um, so next turn, I can play Tifa and have protection up for her. Bauble is going to turn off their Mishra's Bauble, mutagenic growth. They have to pay mana for it, which they of course they cannot because they don't have any green mana in their deck. So upon a bin down Holy Heat, they're definitely sitting on like 3 lightning bolts. I guarantee it. Yeah. No plays. Yeah. So they've kind of boarded into the control role, and Prowess will do this. It's just something that their deck is capable of doing, and you just have to be aware of it. So I'm going to play Tifa. Almost certainly there's going to be a removal battle, which I'm going to lose here. Opponent does not remove it at end of turn, which is a little surprising. Now I am really wondering what my opponent is actually doing. Another Darcy. Okay. Unholy Heat. So here comes the Heat. Now I have a couple different ways I can save this. I could march and pitch Secret Identity. That will take out the Darcys. Or I could just, I don't think I want to pitch March because March will let me live later. So I think I just want to cast Secret Identity here. And Secret Identity is just going to give my creature hexproof until end of turn. He could like double dart it. Okay, so he hasn't got anything. So I'm just going to F6. The thing about having to crack my fetch there is that I'm kind of in a position now where I really need it. So he bins a Lava Dart, but again, there's no threat because of Vexing Bubble. So, although he could still cast Lava Dart to say get a Slick Shot trigger, right? And block. So this is where Green Suns for Arbor is really freaking critical, guys. Let me tell you. So first of all, I'm going to scale up, right? Because I want to bait him into casting the bolt if he has it. Now I'm going to Mightable Cursa. Okay. Now I'm going to Green Suns for Arbor, and that's actually going to give me the Tifa activation that I need, right? So I can't say it enough. If that were a Noble Hierarch, we would be dead. But instead, we're attacking for 20. An opponent could, in theory, block this. But then we also have Dryad Arbor, which is a threat for regular damage. So they're going to block and maybe try to get Delirium, which will save them. I'm going to F6 here. That's what they should do. They should at least try to cast their Lava Dart or something and get Delirium. Because that'll give them, yeah. So that is what they're going to do. It looks like they are going to get that Delirium. Dart doesn't do anything. They're going to go down to 2. And so we still have a threat. Opponent is going to have 4 cards in hand. So it's going to go to 1, which actually makes the Dryad Arbor just lethal by itself. Darcy has to attack. I could die here. It has flying. It cannot block it. So Bowman does not have Violent Urge, thankfully. Looks like they just flooded out on lands, and I win the match. So that's how we do it. So I lost the video for the third match, and that's kind of unfortunate because the third match was really interesting, and it's also the one in which I made a punt. So I'm going to try to walk you through this here with just the screen recap. So I won the die roll, and then unfortunately I ended up mulliganing to 5 because both of my opening hands had no lands in them. So I ended up keeping this, and I have a choice here what to throw away. I ended up throwing away Preordained and Secret Identity because Scrying would have given Green Suns gives me land, and Scrying kind of gives me an 8-month plan. So there they go. Start out, I fetch. Get Breeding Pool. Play Green Suns. Get Arbor. Pass turn. Opponent has Shadowy Backstreet. So I'm thinking like Blink at this point, or maybe Jesper Gorios. I end up casting Scrying here. Opponent forces it, which is unfortunate. Like, if I get Nexus there, I think this is a different game. I believe they Thoughtseize me. They take my Raw Priest. So I'm on the back foot pretty badly at this point. Untap. Draw a Nexus anyways. I wish I had another blue mana here. But I don't, so I just send the Dryad Arbor. Bump plus a Frog. Frog is pretty bad for me here. I can't really attack through it. And tap. Draw Spell Pierce. Not really helping here. Have to pass the turn. So opponent comes out with Riddler. I'm in pretty deep trouble here already. I'm expecting to get Sign or something, which maybe I could Spell Pierce. But they decide to really just pump the Frog. And then they crash through. Don't block. And then they keep pumping the Frog. Another Riddler. Draw an Elf. Play it. Decide to crash in with Ink Moth while I can, because I have Force and Spell Pierce. No reason not to. Guess Otherworldly Gaze. They're really looking for something to target Goryo's with here. They don't find it. They play a land, and then they decide not to attack with the frog, which I think is a mistake. If there's any reason for them not to attack with the frog there. I draw Green Suns. I play it. I get a second Rot Priest. I had the option to go for Tifa there, but I think Tifa was a little bit greedy. I wanted to hold up Pierce on a Colosseums at the end of my turn. I think they're just playing a little bit too much like a combo deck here. They really just want to get that Gorios out instead of really focusing on trying to win the game with the frog. Cast Pest Control, which is a surprise. I have to force that. I can't let that through. And they attack with the frog this time, but they don't fly it. Oddly enough, again, I expected that frog to fly. It did not, so I block it. And tap. Draw a land. Play it. Activating Moth. Crash. So they go for the Gorios here, and basically nothing I can do about it. They end up getting a Traxa. It thought sees me, and it ends up ending this game. So all right, game two. Like I said, I lost the video, so I also lost the sideboarding piece. And I don't remember exactly what I brought in, but I think it was just Veil of Summer here. And I don't know that the sideboard was really relevant for this match. So we get to it. I won the die roll. That means I just lost the last game. I end up keeping this hand. I believe I dropped Rot Priest. Flooded Strand. I just decided to Solitude. I'm fine with that because I have Lighted Agent backup. And I believe I just dropped the Agent here. And Mystical Disputed. Frog. Frog's never great to see, but I do have a threat. At this point, I have exhausted my opponent's removal options. I also believe I draw a land here. Yeah, so I drew a Misty, and Blighted Agent comes out. I drop Gemstone Caverns. They play March of Otherworldly Light. I Vines. then next turn I believe I killed him. Yeah, so I just go for it here. There's no reason to stick around. An opponent actually messed up there with the early Solitude, but then I'm able to binds it. The opponent really should have probably won this game. All right, game 3. So I end up keeping this hand. It's a little on the weak side because it has 4 lands in it. I draw land. I'm not happy about that draw. I get a pull, and I just go for Preordain, and I keep both on top because I don't really want to draw another land. And it goes Polluted Delta. Alright, I'm getting a land. I end up playing Rob Priest here. I can protect it, and that's kind of setting me up for like a more of a control-y type game. It cracks their Delta. Drops a Lottery Grave. Has Faithful Mending, which is fine. And tap. Draw Spell Pierce. I'm pretty happy about that. I had to crash with the Rob Priest. If they have like Felia, I could Vines. I cast Preordain. And those are great. I definitely want those. I draw the Force. It cracks. They get Godless Shrine. They flashback Faithful Mending. I'm fine with that. I cast Frog. I kind of really don't care too much about the Frog here, just because, again, I'm going for more of the Rob Priest plan. And so I draw Green Suns, which is great. I'm very happy, because now I can go get a second Rob Priest. Okay, so they fly the Frog. They draw. And then they cast Solitude. And this is actually where the misplay happens. So I end up searching up a breeding pool. And this, so what I was thinking here was that preemptively Solitude, I could bind to both of the Rot Priests, and then it doesn't matter if they cast the Ephemerate. They can't Ephemerate my Rot Priests. So I just go ahead and start doing that by casting Vines. And okay, so I get the triggers. Opponent cracks their fetch. And then I hard cast Force of Negation. And this is where I made the critical misplay. What I should have done was let the Force of Negation resolve, wait for Solitude to come into play, and Force of Negation the Ephemerate, because it's very obvious here that they have Ephemerate, right? They wouldn't Force of Negation the Vines if they didn't have Ephemerate. So, unfortunately, going a little too fast, I think to myself, well, I'll just Vines the other Rot Priest. Well, that was not a good idea. So, I force their Force, Rot Priest triggers resolve. And then I'm like, uh-oh, because while they do, the Solitude doesn't actually do anything when they ephemerate it. They still get to leave it on the battlefield. And most importantly, next turn, they get to rebound the Ephemerate, and that's what ends up killing me. I end up drawing another land, which again, my fear in this game was that I had too many lands to start with. I leave Rat Priest on top, but you can see where this is going to go, right? Like, I am way flooded. Opponent rebounds their ephemerate, and all of a sudden I'm in deep trouble. So if I had not allowed this Solitude to stick around by countering the ephemerate, which really absolutely the goal should have been to counter the ephemerate, I would not have lost the Rot Priests, and I had a chance of winning the game. Um, and to be totally frank, my opponent should not have forced my Vines of the Basswood. They should have left it up for the force on the ephemerate. So, should I have won this match? No. Could I have won this match? Yes. I draw the Rod Priest, but I know the writing's on the wall here. There's no way I'm winning this. So, I believe here they go. Yeah. They rebound. I just let them do it. They cast Word Alert. The board is just full of junk, and I just concede because I know this is over. So, lesson learned: counter the ephemerate. Okay, so we won the die roll for the fourth match. We'll say yes. Again, no lands. Gonna have to toss this away. We can work with this. Kind of a choice here. I don't really think we need the breeding pool. So for turn one, we could preordain. I think that makes sense here. I really need to look for some pump spells. We have a threat. I don't know what our opponent is on. So we don't need another Nexus. I don't think we need another Secret Identity. Green Suns is quality. So next turn we get Green Suns for Rot Priest. And try to set up the long game for Ink Moth. So Rot Priest. And I kind of have enough mana in this hand to really make the Ink Moth lethal. But unfortunately, it looks like our opponent is on this deck. And this deck is kind of bad for us. Yeah, this lets you get a basic forest, right? So actually, you notice there's a basic forest in the sideboard. And if you remember me talking about this the other day, or in the deck tech, then you remember me mentioning that you might need that basic forest. So I'm actually just going to, because what we could do if we need to is we can activate Ink Moth and give it hexproof if they come in with like a land destruction spell. Wrath of the Skies. Not really much we could do about that. We just gotta let it happen. I don't remember if this deck plays Solitude or not. We don't have lethal. We do have lethal next turn. Nice, a Field of Ruin. So what very may likely happen here is he attempts to Field of Ruin the Icebox Nexus, and then we're going to try to save it. And what's good about saving it is that they don't get to search for the basic if they do that. They could just remove it in response, which is probably what they'll do. But if they do, again, they don't get to search for the basic land from Field of Ruin, so. Yeah. So the reprieve, okay. So we are short on threats. Spell Pierce, not going to help us. This is where, their deck can kind of go parabolic with the land destruction. Also, Spell Pierce, just kind of bad against all those lands. We're going to go for Hedge Maze. Preordain, we'll take that. Kind of need to keep digging here. Yeah. Blighted Agent is quality. We have a couple different ways to protect it, so. Their deck is pretty much all land destruction and removal spells. The opponent's going to hard cast Solitude. And we're just going to Secret Identity here. Very likely we'll have an additional removal spell, which they do. Yeah. Lands are never bad against this deck. But we are under threat of just dying to the Solitude. Karn, I screwed up there. I shouldn't have F6'd. Obviously could have Spell Pierced that, but I wasn't expecting Karn out of their deck, to be fair. I just have not been keeping up with the latest and greatest. So I can fetch for Arbor at end of turn. Okay. So they're just going to do this stuff. Yeah. Land destruction light. If I don't kill Karn, I'm just dead. That makes things tough. I should have really Spell Pierced this. Yeah. I think I want to do things a little differently. I'm going to try the Agent. Path. Yeah. Next game. So in this matchup, we want to bring in extra lands. And we want. I really want Dismember, Veil of Summer. Sylvan Scrying is good because it finds lands. Spell Pierce is good, but it's kind of bad late game, and oftentimes this matchup does go into a late game. It's tricky. Yeah. I think maybe it's Spell Pierce just because they have Solitude. I don't know. Maybe it's just Preordain. I hate to board out Preordain. Or is it Force? I guess Force is too good. I kind of don't like this, but oh well. You definitely need that extra Forest. This matchup. Okay. 10 seems fine. So here we just want a Green Suns for Arbor, I think. Because really speed is of the essence. The more time we give them to set up their shtick, the worse it is for us. And chances are turn 1 they drop Sunken Citadel. Turn 2 we drop Agent and we have Vines to protect it. Again, like we really don't want to be in a position where we don't have enough lands against them. The card we really need to win this matchup is Phyrexian Crusader. Of course, I'm not playing black, but another Vine's not a bad thing here because we're almost certainly going to need to use one of our Vines. No Solitude. Well, that's a good thing. You got to be really careful about when you crack your fetches against the stick. Yeah. So here comes the Galvanic Discharge. Again, never, ever, ever, ever fetch a basic land against a stick. Just don't even think about it. Let's see. We're just going to Vines. If they have the Solitude, which they do, I mean, we could try to go for Dryad Arbor to win here. And I mean that seriously, because they don't have a lot of creatures. We have March. They're going to try to kill the Arbor. We're going to end up marching it. The deck just doesn't seem to have a lot of like real card advantage, other than like Quarry Mountain Monastery. You don't need a land here. I have Force. It is strangely land deprived. Now, if we're going to go for the Arbor kill, taking Might of Old Cursa makes a lot of sense here. We're going to do that. Because I really does not think this Dryad Arbor is a threat. I, on the other hand, know it's a threat because it can crash for 14 if it has to. Okay. Notice I put the Forest on the bottom, even though I kind of need another land here. Again, just never draw your basics. Just don't do it. Venerated Rot Priest. Well, that gives us a little bit of an alternate game plan here. So let's go ahead and play the Rot Priest. And actually, I'm just going to pass the turn. They're going to go for Cleansing Wildfire. I am not going to let them do that. I'm going to force it. The thing about Rot Priest is that it deals regular damage, which is really critical, especially on a turn like this one. Though I think my opponent is pretty close to dead here. Like, I can scale Might. If they have Solitude in hand, I could be pretty sorry I decided to do that, but I don't really see any reason not to. Some opponents will think that Venerated Rot Priest has Infect. It actually has Toxic, and that is a big difference sometimes. So it does regular damage, in addition to giving the opponent poison counters. And there is no reason here to be super aggressive. Don't have lethal this turn. But the opponent goes to 6. Now I'm in much more of a position to win the game. Right, so opponent is going to Galvanic Discharge the Rot Priest. I think there is no reason not to save it. Now, again, like, I'm not really revealing my posture that I'm about regular damage, so. Okay, so I drew Green Suns. If they have Solitude, I could still lose. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and Green Suns for a Rot Priest. And I'm going to attack. If they have something like Pyroclasm, I'm in trouble. Yeah, discard Avengers Disassembled or whatever it is. Okay, so yeah. So they can't target the Rot Priest or they die. They can still Solitude it. Maybe I was just too conservative here. Spell Pierce isn't going to do it. I'm sorry, Avengers Disassemble isn't going to do it. They're dead. Unless they have, yeah, they're dead. Okay, cool. So opponent just had some unlucky draws there, and we get there. But you can see how this can be a pretty brutal matchup. Okay, game 3. Same looks fine. So we are going to go for the turn 1 elf here, because this elf is just totally bait. Like, the important thing about this hand is it did not have Dryad Arbor and it did not have a forest in it. If you have a hand with a forest in it, you got to be careful in this deck. Okay, so I'm just gonna go elf. This elf, like, the opponent did not put a colored mana source into play, which feels wrong. Either they don't have one. Oh yeah, this double Field of Ruin. Okay, so they have the Solitude. I actually just don't care about that Solitude because, again, it's really not the game plan here. So I'm gonna go Misty, and now I'm gonna play Rot Priest. And they have 2 cards in hand. So I'm actually in a pretty good position here. I'm going to leave that Misty. I'm not going to crack it. So drew Force. So you can kind of see here, guys. Like, I'm not in a bad spot here. This Rat Priest is very lethal. This is a very lethal Rat Priest. Opponent kept a hand without colored mana, which feels wrong. Okay. So I have plenty of interaction. I'm just going to go ahead and crack. I could use, like... I guess I keep that. I don't know. Like, life total really isn't an issue here. If they get something like a Hero... What do they got here? They got Solitude. I'm just going to march if they have Solitude. I was thinking they have to have Solitude. They pitched Wrath of the Skies. Yeah. So by the by, March of Swirling Mist can save your whole team against Wrath of the Skies. Oh, and it's making me wait. That's fine. Alright, so we get through. Just gonna pass the turn. There's no reason to force the scale up here or to do anything. Yeah, this makes things more interesting because now they're going to start field ruining me. Do I need to crack this Misty? I don't really need to, so I'm not going to. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. So Green Suns is pretty key here. Yeah. It didn't get reproved. Okay. So we're in pretty good shape. I mean, the opponent could Wrath of the Skies. I'm just going to march my team into the game. They'll very likely try to take out my breeding pool. Then I'm going to get a forest. It's hard casting Karn. Yeah, we're not letting that happen. No. I have Karn for you. My opponent is very dead. Very, very dead. Alright. And another Green Sun Zenith. Like, I don't even need to cast the Green Sun Zenith. It's the reality of the situation here. Now, if I just scale up, and then I can just march Pitching Force, just saving the Spell Pierce for any shenanigans. I don't think there's going to be any shenanigans here. There we go. Bingo. Game over. Now, if Green Sun Zenith had been a Noble Hierarch, we'd have been screwed. Okay, last match. Let's see how it goes. We've run the die roll. The sand is pretty good. We have Ink Moth. We have Double Rot Priest. We're gonna keep that. And we're gonna run the Ink Moth. We're gonna run the Rot Priest out there because we don't have double green. We can't really sit back on protecting it. Opponent might just remove it. I think we're okay with that if that happens. You know. So here we go. Rot Priests. Commercial District. Eldrazi, maybe? How it does. Just the card on top. Green Sun's pretty good here. Kind of have a choice if the Green Sun's for Arbor or another Rot Priest. This is actually kind of tricky. But I think I want a Green Suns for an Arbor here. Because that's going to give me more mana to get Nexus across the line. And I'm kind of short on mana. So I have the Double Spell Pierce. I have another Rot Priest. Something happens to my board. I'm okay. If the opponent decides to like take out the Arbor, they get the Venerated Rot Priest trigger. So they're going to take some poison. No matter what. Got here. Yeah, you're coming for the Arbor. Okay. So if we draw a land here, we're in pretty good shape. Like any colored mana source will do here. Yeah, Eldrazi Temple. Okay. So that makes the Nexus plan a little less good. Another Green Suns. So I worry about not Kozilek's Command, but Kozilek's Return a little bit here. Opponent could have like Thought-Knot Seer as well, which is pretty bad. But they did not choose the K command. If they have K Return and I play Rot Priest, I'm in deep caca. I don't think playing Rot Priest makes sense. I think Green Suns for Rot Priest might make the most sense here. We're going to risk the K Return because opponent did cast Unholy Heat. I feel like if they had K Return, they wouldn't have cast Unholy Heat. So, you never know. Lab. I just feel like you can't really sit back too much against even this deck because again, their long game is Emrakul. Emrakul will just win the game. So, here, Madcap Experiment. What the? Your life total can't change. Womp womp womp. Okay. I am not prepared for this, y'all. Your life total can't change, but it also isn't relevant. I can't think of a Blighted Agent here. Like, I don't know how good these Spell Piercers are. And again, I could really, really use another colored mana source. Yeah, I can remember back to the deck tech where I was saying you don't want too many Ink Moths in your deck. This is just like the perfect game to demonstrate that. Like, so he has 2 Emrakuls under his Labyrinth right now, so that is definitely a long-term threat. Okay, so I am getting Myco spawned. My opponent does not want me to have color mana. Yeah, they could attack here. I suppose they kind of have to. Yeah, which puts me in kind of an interesting position. I don't think I can block. Oh, this is just a big. All right, so I have to block. I have to block the Imperium. But if I draw a land, I can just win with the Blighted Agent. I think that's kind of what I want to do here, you know? If you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. And there's the K return. Well, that is brutal. I'm not going to win this game now. Okay. So, I didn't win because I didn't draw lands. So, what do I want in this matchup? Definitely Consign to Memory. That's Eldrazi. Like, forces do it against this madcap experiment business they have going on. Beseiju? I don't know. Like, Spell Pierce comes out in this matchup. And Inkmoth is pretty good. I think I really want to go. Oops, I took Listener Elf out. Don't want to do that. I think I take a Mockingbird. Just as sort of an odd card out here. Let's go with that. Yeah, if I had drawn another land there, I think I'm okay. I just got unlucky. Yeah. So this hand is the scrying into Inkmoth plan. And I think I'm fine with that. I really don't want like too many like one casting cost creatures against a deck that's running K return. Like the question of whether or not to play the Preordain, I think you play the Preordain here. Like I also have March, so like for the late game, which is fine. You know, totally fine. Someone's taking their time. Devourer enters the revealed zone. Okay, so they're going to Devourer on their turn. I'm going to Preordain. I don't want the Elf. I do want the Consign. Let's see what they come out with here. Like, the right play, if they're running something like Chalice, which they probably are, is to probably hold up Consign turn 2. Like, now, Chalice isn't the end of the world because you have cards like Tifa and Green Sun Zenith. You do. So I do Green Suns. Like, I'm just a little bit wary of going too fast here this game. And I think, like, what I want to do... Like, I want a Green Suns for Arbor here. And then hold up Consign. So I can save the Arbor with March if I have to. But again, my long-term plan here is to get Inkmoth Nexus down. And scale it up. Like, I could go for Brat Priest there, but I don't think, like, with the hand that I have, that it's the right way to go. So opponent does not have any red mana by the looks of it. So I am free to do this. I'm going to get Inkmoth. I have double Consign. And Temple. So they have a lot of mana. This is I'm getting Consigned, whatever it is. Yeah. So we're going to Consign and Replicate. Replicate there. We're going to yield to the triggered ability, and then we got to do this right. Okay, so we're going to do that. And we're going to yield to all. Okay. So no mic respawn for you. I'm pretty good shape here. Because I don't think they have any way to deal with this Ink Moth. And if I can draw something like Vines or Might of Old Cursa, I could maybe put it away. Opponent is taking their time. I don't know why that. I think they have a mana floating. I didn't catch that. So I think I just want a Hedge Maze here. I don't want that. So I could scale up, but I think that's a bad idea. Because I want to save mana to replicate. They have no red mana. They're just going to go for Micah Spawn again. Yeah. Oh, they're K commanding. We'll just consign. Sign's a good card. And there's the Might of Old Cursa, so that should enable us to put this away. Again, like choosing the right game plan is very key to winning with this deck. I chose the right game plan and I win the game. Okay, next game. Sideboard I think is fine. No making any changes here. Forest is a little bit iffy in this deck against that deck. I kind of still want it though, because they will oftentimes try to main phase Kozilek's Return, and if you can exile Kozilek's Return, that is a good thing. You really want to do that. So, overall, pretty happy with the way this went. This will be the last game of the league. Probably taking their time. Pondering life. I can't keep this, obviously. Yeah, so we're going to keep this. We have Force. And I think we just put back a Breeding Pool. We have a game plan. I think the game log will tell you which card they take. Yeah. Does not, it just reveals them. Alright, my turn. Okay. We're just gonna play a Misty. Bin's a K command. That's interesting. They must be mana short or something. They're short on colorless sources. The Hedge Maze. Definitely want that. So the risk of running Asian out here is that it just gets killed. We are under no pressure we're just going to pass. Opponent finds a temple. Decides to pass. Yeah. So if we run the agent out now, we can protect it against K return with Might of Old Krosa. But we can't protect against K command or Unholy Heat, which he's more than likely to have one of those. Magic the way Garfield intended. Land go. So next turn, we're pretty much in a position to cast Blighted Agent and back it up with Force. Yeah, he's going to K command now. Yeah. No, I don't think so, pal. That's not happening. The unfortunate reality of the game going along, though, is there's a better chance that I get Emmerich ruled. Trinisphere is bad, but believe it or not fatal here. Because opponent is... I guess you just gotta go for it. I don't love it, but... Do you wait a turn there? I don't really want to wait a turn there, but... Okay. I'm critically low on fetchable lands. But I think I have this. So I don't think my opponent has anything. Kind of weird to win through Trinisphere. It's like cards that hate on you don't always win the game for your opponent. Like allowing that K command to resolve would have been much worse. There we do it. 4-1. Should have been a 5-0. But you know, that's magic. So if I had made the correct play in my third match, I'd have a trophy here. So, but this will conclude the games.